We're going to look at shot put monsters of the 1980s, and we're going to start right now. So when we're looking at shot put monsters of the 1980s, one of the big factors here that I want to share is a lot of these techniques, a lot of these athletes, a lot of these throwers had a huge impact on how I coach today, how I've gotten to coach at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, how I've gotten to coach in Paris, France at the Olympics in 2024, how I've gotten to coach at every single World Championships since 2017. They've had a huge impact on me, and I can't wait to look at their technique, have some fun, break it down, look at things, and then talk about how you guys can apply it if you're a coach or even if you are an athlete. So before we start, make sure you like and you subscribe, and let's check this out. Augie Wolf. And I'm going to try to share some of my lore around some of these athletes. Augie Wolf went to Princeton. I think he literally this year just had his record broken by the kid from Columbia, but here we go. Let's get after it. Let's check out what we're going to see here. Augie Wolf, that super high left, but then just slams the finish. And it's interesting to watch these guys because you can really see, one, we're going to see a lot more gliders, but we also will see a consistent theme on the finish where it's sort of like you'll see like the head throws back and like their hair's all over the place. I might just be jealous because I don't have any hair at all. I was never as good a shot putters as these guys, so that might be something of resentment that I have deep down inside because I compared to myself to them when I was in college and I could never really throw far or nearly as far as these guys because they were so much better than me. Okay, let's watch John Brenner here. I believe Brenner is probably a top 3 technician in the glide of all time. I would like to look at Al Fuerbach. I like to look at John Brenner, and then of course Ulf Timmerman, Gunther as well. And if you throw Michael Carter in there, Michelle Carter, the finish of Michelle and Michael Carter, the right side working through, you can't beat them. Full warning, let's put up the snowflakes over top of me. If I mention drug usage, I'm not saying these people are bad. It was the sport. It was the time. It was normal. It happened. It doesn't happen as much anymore unless there's drug tests, but it might be mentioned later on. Doesn't matter. The technique is what we're looking at and the enjoyment. And the thing is the stuff like this, watching John Brenner slam his finish, low left foot, fast right foot through the middle, opens his left, absolutely murders, getting forward into the toe board. Bomb. Another big factor I want to bring up. The freaking cameramen back then, fantastic job tracking that on one of these old freaking relics, literally. I always liked with Brenner, he would almost come up with the chest, but then the hips would just stay at the same angle. That left foot would stay super low, and that right foot, be super quick. I feel like the snowflakes already clicked off this video because I talked about drugs. Now let's look here. If I remember, Lehman has a little bit higher left leg out of the back. Bruce Jenner, if they would call that the Bruce Jenner Michelob Classic, they would get canceled if they did that today. Is that too much? Okay, Oldfield. This is the San Jose meet where he said he had a throwgasm. Absolute monster. And here you'll see with Oldfield, he was always a little long, a little over-rotated, but just tagged that finish. Greg Tafales, I love this technique. Squatted 900 pounds. I don't know if he actually did, but look at the size of his quads. Over rotates a little bit there. His left is fast, a little open with the left shoulder. And you'll notice a lot of these guys when they reverse, their reverses were not as smooth as what you would see today. I think that typically has to do just with pretty much everyone back in the day would always glide first and then they'd spin. That was the flow. I mean, up until about 5 to 10 years ago, that was still pretty normal. A lot of athletes today never glided. So you see a much more fluid rotational finish, whereas these guys, you would typically see a spinner reverse similar to a glider. Now, Kevin Akins, I wanted to say this. Bring back the hair. Bring back the horseshoe hair. Bring it back. Who can we get to bring it back? The horseshoe hair with those big glasses. So if I remember correctly, I think Akins went to Ohio State. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he might have been a West Side guy. Maybe he just stepped in I don't want to make any jokes. Okay, so Kevin Akins, I'm pretty sure he was from Columbus. Absolute monster. left leg was always a little bit deeper, but his right side, if you watch this, his right side was always right there, very similar to what you would see from Michael Carter's right side, even with that deeper left. And then you could see that reverse with that almost Timmerman style into the right side of the board. Dave Laut, here we go. And to me, growing up, Dave Laut was like the man that gave everybody hope. You know, the guy that was like, he wasn't that big, he wasn't huge, but he spun, he had switched from the glide. He's got a unique technique. You see him fall in. He oftentimes would have like a knee type sweep. His right foot would stop in the middle, but he'd get that hair flip on the finish. And dude, I think he threw, I'm pretty sure he's a 22-meter guy, at least 2190, something like that. Absolutely fantastic. You can see there, here's where he gets a little bit of a knee sweep. His left side's falling in. Honestly, Sam Mattis throws like Dave Laut. Genuinely, I feel like that sometimes. Like Sam is the discus version of Dave Laut. Left leg's moving fast, even though he's fallen here a little bit. But even right here, you can see his knees sort of stuck, but just turns and murders. You can see Kevin back in the back right there. 2178. Yeah, Kevin Akins, I'm pretty sure. Louis. Okay, hang on. Rob Suflon. Rob was a guy, this is back in the day we had the ring. Rob was a guy, I remember talking with Justin Rhodey about his technique out of the back of the circle, getting his right down super fast. Great technician. I also remember him sharing the emotions of throwing 70 feet, what it was like, what the experience was like. And he also put this video together. So shout out to Rob Suflon. He's also someone who's into like internal development, stuff like that. So I've always appreciated that. And I even had the privilege of writing some of Rob's master's training programs, I want to say for about 6 months. So shout out to you, Rob, if you're out there. I hope you're doing well. Watch his right leg as he gets out of the back. It gets grounded and then just tags the finish. This was the day. And if I remember correctly, Tafales through here, maybe even Woods. Down, boom. I always love this. And you can see there a little bit of that glider type finish. And thank God someone was videoing this. I also had said this earlier, or thinking this earlier. Man, imagine if they had cell phones back then, but we wouldn't want to see these after parties. And so here we go. Al Fuerbach, another one. Right, so shout out to Rob there. This is where I think you see this bent left from Al, very similar to what you see out of Michael Carter, and that enables him to get super forward here, his right leg all the way through into the board on that finish. Just chasing a monster throw. Look at that freaking throw. Okay, Jim Doring, talk about drug usage. So this is going to be someone who, if I remember correctly, it went Stolz in 92, Doring in second place silver, third was Lico, fourth was Gunther. I think I remember Paul Ferenczi telling me like, I'm pretty sure he said like all four of those guys were pissing heat. So I'm sure everybody was at the time, right? I'm sure everybody was. So Doring was another one of those guys that really started to grow quite a bit, early 90s, late 80s, and was in a sense a pioneer in the rotational technique. Just huge chest and triceps. Crazy how big these dudes were. You know, a little bit laid off that left, but then just tags a finish forward. Great finish forward. Can't see the board. Can't see the quality. You know, we're so privileged and entitled babies with our cell phones today. Okay, here's a little better quality. Now we see Dave coming out of the back. Little knee sweepy. You can see his right's lagging a little bit. Gets another. Look at the great film. 2194. Wait, this is this Lehman? Oh, McKe. Ron McKe. Gosh dang. How do you forget Ron McKe? Ron McKe. These are the guys that, like, in my image, these were like dudes that would go into the gym and they do like snatch high pulls for like sets of 10, just getting these huge monster traps, you know, benching twice a week, wearing a XX shirt that looks like it's a youth small, monster quads. I always thought Ron McKe would over rotate a little bit with that left foot, right? There. Okay. I want to actually go back to this because I think this is a good takeaway. And I think you can see where the technique has made progress is like right here. Most throwers, like if you would see this position from someone like Joe, right? Or they would come off with the left foot at right here. Whereas someone back then, because it was just starting, we were just getting into it, the left foot starts to over rotate a little bit more, and then it takes a little bit longer for that left foot to get moving to the front. So there's like some key aspects then. And then when the left would ground, the left shoulder is much more open in this video than it would be today in most throwers, because of the advancement that we've had in the technique. And I even think here that Ron's got good movement. I think he's got great patterning. I think he's smooth. But there's things now, and also because we do have cell phones on the regular basis, I do want to show this. This is another Kevin video where I think he does more of like a spinner reverse. You can see his left foot starts to creep across here, but he keeps his shoulders level right there. Now that left shoulder starts to open a little bit still. Look at that right knee as he gets forward, right? That's right when he gets forward. And that's something that you would see in Michael Carter. When you would watch the Werner Gunther videos back in the day, I remember watching Werner Gunther videos and they have that pole vault example, and I'd always struggled to visualize it. Then when we started to study Michael Carter's technique, and even seeing this here with Kevin Akins, with Carter's technique, you could see the bent left, extend. And that's sort of like the image of the pole vault going and then extending. And that's like the thought was like, oh my gosh, that's what they're talking about. Bent right, bent left, bent right, bent left. Then lift. It's like delaying everything. 2076 from the glide. So Lucas Warning's thrown 20 meters with the glide today. All right, here we go. Another Greg Tafales. I always thought, again, I mentioned this earlier, watch his left foot. And these are things that when we're watching these throws, they're simple. You push, you turn. I always thought Greg did a good job opening that right knee, like turning the right knee. I feel like you can see there his left shoulder was a little bit more open. It's so fun watching these guys absolutely crank bombs. It's like when you watch the mountain games, and this is one of the best parts about having Mac Wilkins on when we had a podcast with him. I want to talk to him again. Here's a video actually of Dave where you can really see sort of like that knee sweep to the middle, like right here. He's never really extending that right leg like Greg does. And then when he grounds, you can see his chest is past his hips here already. So then when he grounds, he gets a little high up out of the back, but he's always controlling his left shoulder. And that's sort of his sneak attack. Even here, you can see that his right foot stops. His weight is here. His right foot stops, but he's still controlling that left shoulder. And that enables him to sort of stay back over that right to then work into that sort of glide reverse. That technique, that reverse sort of carried over a little bit. Dean Krauser, here we go. A little bit even into the early 2000s. Boom. Gets forward on that finish. I think this is 68. Yep, 68.8. Okay, here we go. Here's what I'm hoping we can see this with that long short. He's got that long short. Now, right here. Tell me you can't see that. You got the bent right here from the glide. You got this position here, and then he just sort of slingshots forward and absolutely murders this at the front. And I always like that thought. There you could see it quite a bit. I always like to think through that for a lot of gliders. Just another angle. Boom, same thing. Gliders, you guys are going to be loving this video right now and those positions that you hit. Hank Krejcir. Now, I want to pause this. This is Barishnikov's cousin. It's not actually his cousin. I'm making that up, but the technique, it's sort of like this low opening, down type spin where it just goes. And you can see here, this you can see how he's on the left too long and the left foot turn. So young guys watching this, get off that left a little bit earlier. Control it, get off. Control it, get off. But you can see he sort of just stays down that entire time, right? Sends it to the moon. Sends it. Okay, here we go. Now this is stuff, this video, watch these videos too much. This is when he blows out of the front. The part I never understood, I'm going to call everybody out. Okay, actually, one thing I'm not going to call people out on is people have talked about, I've said, okay, stay in double support as long as you can out of the back of the circle. Turn the right while the left is opening. And you can really see it in someone like Barnes. Okay, you can see right here when he comes out of the back. Let me go back here just a little bit. When he's opening, right? So even right there, his left is really open, and then he starts to turn that right there. Now he's starting to turn. He's still down. Look at how open that left is. And he did this a lot, but that enabled him to get a really wide right leg, which helped him sweep really well. Now I thought he would eat up too much circle for the time. I thought he would take up too much circle, and that's why he would jump on most of his finishes. He has an indoor world record video that he had hit that I think is probably his best technique, and obviously his world record was great as well. Now, I'm going to call the older guys out on this, is that this was in warm-ups, and he was like fouling this. I want to say it was like a 78, 79-foot throw that he fouled, and everybody would talk about it. But if you go to a high school meet and you're around the old guys, they'll be like, oh, I don't know why they're the warm-up warriors, but then they still aggrandize this throw. I never understood that. Like, it's sort of like against what everybody would say. You can see he over-rotates it, and he's on that left for too long, and then he blast out of the front of this, because it's like, how are you going to save this throw? How are you going to save it? Like, what are you going to do? That's crazy. Put him in an 8-foot discus circle. Now, I know that was still, 2350, 24 meters. Out of the pit. Out of the pit. Out of the pit. Gary Willicke. This is a guy that over-rotated quite a bit. His right leg would go really long to the corner right here. He's on that left for a long time, and then oftentimes his left would block him off. He reminds me of Jaime. I always have these connections between current throwers and the old school throwers. This is the China Cup Series. Augie Wolf again. Good finish in that. Nice big long punch. This looks like Dave again, right? Yeah, that's Dave. Oh, no, that's poor. Yeah, that's a foul, actually, yeah. I don't know him that well. This is Dave. I don't know Porath that well. Was he might have been on the 72 or 76 team. Though he might have been a little early for me as far as like the obsessions that I had. Mike Weeks is another guy I always thought was solid. Very simple technique, similar to Barishnikov, but would tag that finish. Sort of like that hunched down. Okay, this is another throw here. This throw is one of the most underrated glide throws in the history of throwing. Not many people know about this throw. Not many people have seen this throw, but the technique used, it's a good drop. Okay, the right foot moves really well. We get to a good position. It looks really windy there. I hope they're not throwing discus, because we know that if you throw disc with wind, it's not a good thing. But this is genuinely, watch the left, watch how fast the right is, and then how the finish gets forward. Low left, not as low as I would want, but still well, comes forward. I want to go back on this, okay? Because you can see, look at that right foot, boom, forward into the board right there. I think that's a huge attribute that you need to have. And I want to point out here, everything's staying back over that right here. You could draw a line straight down. Left foot grounds right here. Left shoulders in line with the left big toe. And then what happens? He opens and everything transfers out to the board. Out to the board. Simple movement. Simple movement. Add some scream to that. You get a big time result. That's one of the best. I think you watch that throw right there. Here's another Laut throw. You can see sort of that lagging right, but just a crazy attack on that finish. Crazy attack from the right side. So I love watching these guys throw. I didn't pick on too much of the drug usage. I do think that that's a thing. It's like, yo, sorry, you're going to get upset and you're going to comment, how dare he, these guys. I'm not saying anyone's a bad person for doing it. I'm saying it was much more commonplace than it is today. Guys are throwing farther now, though. We throw farther today because of the work that these guys did. The work, the technical work, and the things that they were doing. And over time, we started to learn, hey, we could get off the left faster. Hey, Randy did this thing with how he would stay grounded for a long period of time. We can learn from all that stuff, okay? So that's why we're so good right now, because of the work that these guys did back in the day. I hope this helped you guys. I hope it helped somebody. If you guys need throws-based training, if you guys want a technical analysis, or you want customized program, or even a year's worth of training, or a coach's course, click the first link in the description, okay? We at throwsuniversity.com have a coach's course. on multiple different topics. We have customized programming. We have years worth of training that you can purchase. We even have technical analysis. Head over to throwsuniversity.com. Click that first link down below in the description. Okay, I hope this video helps somebody out there improve their technique and also pay respects to the shot put monster of the 1980s. Until next time, peace.